I'll be honest. Before I moved here, I had a specific image of Southeast Asia in my head. I expected chaotic streets, I expected struggle, I expected a place where a dollar makes you a king because everyone else has nothing. I was arrogant, and I was completely wrong. What I found in Malaysia wasn't a cheap alternative to the West. I found a lifestyle that puts many Western cities to shame. If you still think this is just a budget destination, you need to see what I'm seeing. Stay with me on this, because what most people call affordable is actually something much deeper. And if you look past the currency exchange, you'll see a country that's quietly figured out what many developed nations are still struggling with. Before we go further, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss stories like this. Malaysia doesn't fit the mold. It's not desperately poor, it's not extravagantly rich. It sits in a category most people don't have language for, and that's exactly why it gets misunderstood. When Westerners talk about Malaysia, they focus on one thing: cost. Cheap rent, cheap food, cheap everything. But they rarely ask the harder question: cheap compared to what? And cheap for whom? The more time I spent here, the more I realized the conversation isn't about money, it's about value. It's about what a society chooses to prioritize. I'm going to walk you through what I've seen, not as a tourist, not as someone passing through, but as someone who stayed long enough to notice the patterns. By the final point, this changes how you see the entire region. 1. The cost of living isn't what you think. Let's start with the most obvious thing. Yes, Malaysia is affordable, but not in the way people assume. A meal at a local hawker stall costs around $3 to $5. Rent for a modern apartment in Kuala Lumpur? Around $600 to $1,000 a month in neighborhoods that would cost $3,000 in New York or London. On paper, that looks like a discount. But here's what people miss. The median monthly salary in Malaysia is around 3,000 ringgit, roughly $670. So when a Malaysian pays $3 for lunch, that's not cheap to them. It's proportional, it's normal. And yet, the quality doesn't drop. The food is fresh, the infrastructure works. You're not sacrificing safety or comfort or dignity just because the price is lower. That's not poverty, that's efficiency. If this is shifting how you see things, hit the like button. And tell me in the comments what surprised you most so far. 2. Healthcare that doesn't bankrupt you. Let me tell you about healthcare here. Private hospital consultation fees in Malaysia range from 30 to 125 ringgit. That's roughly $7 to $30. No insurance needed for basic visits. Public hospitals? Even cheaper. 1 to 5 ringgit for a consultation. That's less than $2. The quality? Malaysia was recently ranked as the #1 destination for medical tourism in the world by Nomad Capitalist, surpassing Singapore, India, and Turkey. 2 Malaysian hospitals made it into Newsweek's World's Best Hospitals 2024 for the first time. People fly here from the US, the UK, and the Middle East to get surgeries and treatments they can't afford at home. Think about that. A country labeled developing has a healthcare system that attracts people from the developed world. So who's really ahead? 3. Public transport that actually works. Kuala Lumpur has a metro system that's cleaner, faster, and more reliable than most cities in Europe or North America. The trains run on time. The stations have air conditioning. A monthly unlimited pass costs 50 ringgit. That's about $11. You can get from one end of the city to the other in 20 minutes. Compare that to London, to New York, to Los Angeles, where public transport is either non-existent or so unreliable that owning a car isn't optional, it's survival. The country is connected, and it's connected in a way that doesn't punish people for not owning a car. In the West, we talk about car dependency like it's an unavoidable fact of modern life. But here, I watched it solved. Not with some futuristic tech, just with competent planning and public investment. If you're enjoying this, consider subscribing. It helps more than you think. 4. The food culture is a masterclass. I need to talk about food because this is where the gap becomes almost absurd. Malaysia has some of the best food in the world. Nasi lemak, char kway teow, roti canai, laksa. Every meal is an event. Every street corner has something worth eating. And it's accessible. You don't need to book a reservation, you don't need to know someone, you just walk up, order, and eat. I've had meals here that cost me $4 and tasted better than $50 dinners I've had in Paris or New York. But here's the deeper point. Food isn't treated like a luxury here. It's treated like a right, like something every person should have access to without stress. Hawker centers aren't just cheap, they're social hubs, where families gather, where coworkers eat lunch, where strangers sit together because there's no shame in it. In the West, we've turned food into status. Fast food for the poor, fine dining for the rich. Malaysia skipped that trap, and the result is a food culture that's democratic and deeply rooted in everyday life. 5. Diversity that actually functions. Malaysia is one of the most ethnically diverse countries in the world. Malay, Chinese, Indian, indigenous groups, different languages, different religions, different customs. And it works. Not perfectly, not without tension, but it works in a way that's increasingly rare. Walk through Kuala Lumpur and you'll see mosques next to temples, next to churches. Women in hijabs working alongside women in saris, alongside women in Western clothes. Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, and English all in the same conversation. There's no melting pot narrative here, no forced assimilation. People keep their identities, they keep their cultures, and somehow they coexist. Compare that to the West, where diversity is treated like a problem to solve. Malaysia isn't utopia. There are policies I don't agree with, there's inequality baked into the system, but there's also daily proof that people from wildly different backgrounds can share the same space without tearing it apart. And in 2025, that feels radical. Drop a comment if this resonates. I want to hear your thoughts. 6. A middle class that can actually live. Here's what really got me. Malaysia has a middle class, a real one, not the vanishing, debt-laden, paycheck-to-paycheck version we have in the West. Teachers here don't work second jobs. Nurses don't live in their cars. Government workers can buy property in the cities where they work. Yes, wages are lower than in the US or Europe, but the cost of living is proportionally lower too, so the lifestyle gap narrows. I met people here who own condos, take vacations twice a year, and save money every month on salaries that would be considered poverty wages in America. So what are we actually measuring when we call a country developed? GDP, stock markets, the number of billionaires, or the ability of ordinary people to live with dignity, security, and joy? Because by that measure, Malaysia is doing something right. 7. What cheap really means. Let's go back to the beginning, the word that started all this. Cheap. When Westerners call Malaysia cheap, what they're really saying is, I can live better here than I can at home. And they're not wrong, but they're missing the point. It's not that Malaysia is cheap, it's that the West has become expensive in ways that don't match the value you get. You pay more for healthcare that bankrupts you, for education that buries you in debt, for housing that eats half your income, for public services that barely function. And then you're told that's just how it is. That's progress. But Malaysia shows you the lie. Because here, you get healthcare that works, public transport that's reliable, food that's phenomenal, a middle class that isn't drowning. It's not magic, it's priorities. Malaysia decided that certain things, health, food, housing, transportation, shouldn't be left purely to the market. And it worked. So when people ask me, is Malaysia cheap? I say, no. Malaysia is fair. The West is just overpriced. I came here thinking I'd found a bargain, a place where I could stretch my money because everyone else was struggling. That was the story I'd been told. But the longer I stayed, the clearer it became. The struggle I expected? It wasn't here. What I found instead was a country that had quietly built a life most people in the West are desperately trying to hold on to. Malaysia doesn't need to prove itself. It just needs to keep doing what it's doing. And maybe we need to stop measuring progress by price tags and start measuring it by lives lived. If this changed how you see things, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And also, let us know where you are watching from. Here's my question for you. What does developed actually mean to you? Is it GDP? Or is it whether people can live without fear of bankruptcy, homelessness, or losing access to basic dignity? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading.